Okay, folks, St. Patrick's Day. Here we go. Look at the Irish with you. Yes. And a happy St. Patty's Day. Yes. There we go, JR. Ah, yes. It's a rainy day, isn't it? Yes. Oh, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. Not a happy St. Patrick's Day in West Warwick, that's for sure. Ah, happy St. Patrick's Day to you. All right, folks, we are going to begin in just a couple moments. And again, we're also on Mondays, we do politics this week. Managing editor of anchorrising.com. Also, it's interesting to me some of the stories that the rest of the media ignore. We're not going to ignore. And happy St. Oh, I have a wooden spoon. Happy St. Patrick's Day. There you go, folks. From Dublin. A gift from Kate DePietro. Yes. All right. JR, I didn't see any green on you, my friend. Well, I understand. I have green socks on. I'm not going to show. On our broadcast, folks, we're going to begin in just a moment. We have quite a bit of news on this St. Patrick's Day. Yes. Wano DePietro. I like that. Hold on. Let me stay on schedule here. And there we go. And we shall begin our broadcast in just a couple moments. Folks, again, the rain is going to continue through the day and into the night. So what does that mean? It means, like today, we did a very short road patrol live in West Warwick. I also want to just point out, I'm not going to make a huge deal of it. People need to understand, many times, actually, what do we hear? We hear there's a big police presence. We hear crime scene tape. So now, if you saw or part of the live, you watch it at the very end. Member of West Warwick Police, who was very professional, couldn't have been nicer, said, if you could just show a little discretion to the family. Now, at that time, folks, and just admittedly, as I've said, we don't. I don't know we don't know the details. So I don't know. We don't know at the time. We then work to find out. In Central Falls this morning, and we're also working to try to get details. But people need to understand, and a lot of times it's just people that don't watch, so they don't know. But the situation that happened with that. Hold on one moment. Okay. Wano DePietro. Unbelievable. Okay, there we go. I also, it's not lost on me that there's certain stories that the media ignores, such as how can anyone? There's two stories in the news we're going to talk about coming up. Let me just finish the thought though. So just understand that we learn there's a big police presence. We learn there's crime scene tape up. Aside from that, there's no one standing there telling us in real time what are the circumstances that led to that, who it is. I don't know. There was someone in the home, wasn't happy that Road Patrol Live was there. We don't know the details. We know there was a big police scene. Then we saw the medical examiner pull up live. So I just want you to know that. It's not trying to be insensitive, folks. And for those that we'd be in very dangerous territory if in fact, if there were police scenes and then Let me just see. Okay, not everyone's happy with some of the coverage. And there we go, folks. We are live right now at 106. 106. Happy St. Patrick's Day, one and all. This is, yes, the real news. Right now, we're coming to you. It's AM 1380, 99.9 FM. Folks, you can always listen online at the website, which is depetro.com. Now, this portion of our program, which we do the real news live from 1 to 2, and check out the website, depetro.com. We have big stories going up this afternoon, plus links on some of the stories that we covered over the course of the weekend. Check out depetro.com, which is brought to you by the Coesit Inn, 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Lunch, dinner. They also have a corned beef lunch or dinner. They're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. And don't forget, they also have the market at Coesit, where you can take food out. The Coesit Inn. They're open 7 days a week. Pop in and see them. 226 Coesit Avenue, West Warwick. Remember, lunch, dinner, drinks in the lounge, and they're waiting for you at the Coesit Inn. I also want to remind you, someone had asked me about this, and it's Kids Club on the Pike. Right now, they are taking reservations for their summer camp. So this summer, maybe you want your child to go for a week. Maybe you'd like them to go for a month. Maybe the entire summer. Contact Kristen at Kids Club on the Pike. Right on Plainfield Pike. They're right on the Cranston-Johnston line. You can call them at 401-443-5336 for Kids Club on the Pike. So I want to just, let me just answer something, folks. Again, we will have a number of videos going up throughout the course of the afternoon. It was obviously a very busy day, and I just want to let me just what is on X in DM. Okay, there we go. So, all right, we're going to talk to Justin Katz in just a moment. Folks, a couple of things. Notice that things have died down a little bit. The situation with the Providence City Council Chief of Staff, an individual that goes by the name of June Rose, who went to New York last Thursday and got arrested at Trump Tower. And the protest was designed to show support for someone with ties to Hamas they revoked the green card. So there were two city councilors that stepped forward. That story, we had that story Thursday night. Channel 12 finally posted it on Friday night. Channel 10, not until Saturday. Now, why is that? You'd have to look at a lot of the different posts. This is someone that people are drawn by the fact that this individual is paid by Providence taxpayers now, Chief of Staff of the City Council, paid $136,000 a year. But the reason why certain members of the media avoid the story is because this is someone who he wears a dress, or they, them are the pronouns. So someone who is seemingly trans. But I come back to, I don't care what their pronouns are. I don't care how they dress. What I think should be an issue is the fact that the city council president of Providence, Rachel Miller, she put out a statement saying, well, the person went on their own private time. Folks, the protest was to support someone who has ties to Hamas and was terrorizing Jewish students on the Columbia campus and is anti-Semitic. So as I said on Friday, and nothing has changed I can't imagine right now you are a taxpayer in the city of Providence. Or I'll go another level. If you're a Jewish taxpayer in the city of Providence, like you live on the east side, and the east side basically carries the city with what they pay in taxes. And you're paying the salary of someone that travels down to New York City, gets arrested inside Trump Tower, but the protest was built around to support someone with ties to Hamas, who he was the ringleader. They were terrorizing Jewish students on the campus of Columbia. But there are certain members of the media that stay away from that part of that story. Why? Because the person involved, I guess, is trans. And he has a beard. And we haven't seen it. We have photos on Instagram. We have photos on X. We have photos on Facebook. And the reason why that individual seemingly gets a free pass from the media is because they're trans. But that's not the gist of the story. The gist of the story is the fact that this is someone who is down there supporting someone that is called for the genocide of the Jews. And it is absolutely disgraceful, insulting for all people of Providence, but specifically if you were, in fact, a Jewish individual living in the city of Providence. So, folks, here's the thing. And on top of that, and I believe we're going to be talking to Justin Katz in, I'm just trying to see, is there a delay? So, okay, let me just, I know we should be hearing from him momentarily. So unless okay, I said 110 or 115. Somewhere we're going to see him in just a moment. So, but let me just be very clear about that. And I think you know the answer. Listen, if this was someone who was in fact, I don't know, a white male who was a Trump supporter and was arrested somewhere and was working for the city of Cranston or the city of Johnston, or, a state, whatever, it'd be a huge story about it. But the reason why this individual is given a pass is because there are certain people that actually, again, I think it has to do with the beliefs. I don't think it should have to do, I don't care that the person, June Rose, I don't care. That's not what it's about. It is someone, and from what I understand, it is crunch time in the, let me just, I'm sorry, folks. What time are you joining? Not sure what the problem is. Maybe there's no problem. So, but I want to take issue with, let me just be very clear. Providence City Council President Rachel Miller is trying to say what this individual does on their own free time and whether they took a vacation day or a sick day. I just question, would they have that type of tolerance if this was someone who was arrested pick some kind of right-wing cause? I mean, right now, you don't see any Republican efforts of anyone getting arrested. The most high-profile one was January 6th. I have no idea. I was with someone recently who used to live in Providence, who is Jewish. And I said to this individual, aren't people outraged about this? And this person said to me, I try not to focus on those stories. Folks, I mean, I guess that's one way to look at it. But, you go back through history, and that was the attitude in the late 30s and the early 40s, which was, hopefully he'll go away. Hopefully, if you just appease him, he will go away. All right, folks, joining us right now, He is, in fact, the managing editor for anchorrising.com. And it's time for Politics This Week with Justin Katz. Good afternoon, Justin.
Good afternoon, John. Great to be with you. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Justin, I want to start off. It wasn't lost on me that Channel 10 belatedly posted it on Saturday. And we'll also talk, they were right out of the box. The lead story for Channel 10 was that State Senator Elaine Morgan went down to, the Foxy Village. It's on state land and couldn't get in. But what's your thought on several different aspects of this? Mainly that the president of the Providence City Council, Rachel Miller, says that this individual known as June Rose, who's paid $136,000 a year to be the chief of staff for the city council, which I wasn't even unaware the city council had a chief of staff, but that basically, even though this person went to New York protesting on behalf of this Mahmoud Kalali, that they were doing it on their own personal time and used a vacation day.
Well, what amazes me most about this story, is the light it shines on how the news media covers for progressives in our state. It's this person was arrested in a high-profile protest, a national protest, which you can tell from their own social media, all of our journalists around here support, and is also apparently appears to be a cross-dresser. There's a lot to this, and yet it's not promoted. It's not even reported very much. And it shows you how they know intuitively that the public doesn't quite feel represented by this kind of person, even though this is an obvious story. I mean, if you think back, what I thought of immediately was Representative Justin Price, a Republican, who it was a major story for a long period to the news media that he was even within proximity of the Capitol on January 6th. He was in Washington, D.C. on that date, and that was enough. And he had to be constantly pestered for it. This person is protesting in a way that got him arrested, and they're all hush-hush about it, which makes you wonder, how much else do we not know? And to me, that ties into with all the other kind of revelations we're getting, say with Elon Musk and the Doge and things they're investigating for how USAID distributes money. What do we not know because the news media doesn't think we're enlightened enough to handle it?
That is exactly right. And Justin, what is also, this is the second time this person has been arrested, but this attitude, well, he took a vacation day. Make no mistake about it. The person they're protesting, the reason why they revoked his green card, he's from Gaza. He was the ringleader. They were terrorizing the Jewish students. What this reminded me of, Justin, and we're going to talk about Congressman Amo in a moment, but this reminded me of when the president of UPenn and the president of Harvard went to Capitol Hill, and the president of Penn, they were both trying to say that calling for the genocide of Jews fell under free speech. And they kept repeating that to themselves on the campuses. But then when they got there, and that now historic Elise Stefanik, the rep from New York, that said calling for the genocide of Jews is not outside of the code of conduct for UPenn or Harvard. Justin, what gets me is, Rachel Miller, you and I both know, if this were, what does that mean? So in his free time, he's able to go and support someone that is called for the genocide of Jews and terrorize Jewish students on the Columbia campus.
Right. Well, and let's keep in mind, and we all know this to be true. You know it, I know it, the news media knows it. This is completely one-sided. They pick whether it's First Amendment or private life, or he was on vacation. I mean, last year, I forget the particulars at this point, but there was a city worker in East Providence. I think it was a social media post that was right-leaning or something to that effect. Was fired, gone. No reports, just gone. That's First Amendment. He was on his time off. It doesn't matter. We get laws instead saying, oh, well, the schools can look at your social media, whatever it might be. We just need some kind of stable rules for these, but it shows you there are no rules. The only rule is disagreeing with progressives and the Democrat Party. That's the only rule. You're not allowed to do that. If you're on their doing whatever they want you to do, or you're under their umbrella for protests, that's perfectly fine. They'll give you that $130,000 a year job, probably with not a whole lot of responsibility, in order to keep the machine going and support the movement. That's what you see here, and it's getting really really tiresome. You would expect somebody in the mainstream to start picking up on, wait, we're not applying these rules equally. I mean, if I worked for the city council and I'm not associated with the Patriot Front, but if I took a day off and went to somewhere where the Patriot Front was marching and marched
Yep.
with them, that I'd be fired before I got home. I mean, it's just, we
100%.
know it to be true.
And the local TV stations would be camped out on your lawn waiting for you to get home, as a matter of fact.
Exactly. And I'd
Now,
say hi to
Justin,
them all.
but they were not camped out. And Channel 10, I mean, I had that story Thursday night. Channel 10 finally did it no sound on Saturday. So no one thought, hey, let's send a crew by this person's home in Providence and see if we can get some sound and reaction. God bless me to it. And instead they let it go. And Channel 12, actually, Thursday night, Channel 12 was covering that the city council was going through finances, and the reporter never asked Rachel Miller, city council president, right there. It totally would have been in line to say, hey, while I have you, it would seem this afternoon, the chief of staff of your Providence City Council was arrested. What can you tell me? Not even asked, Justin. Now, speaking of not even asked, an immediate darling, it's Congressman Gabe Amo. You have all these people in Rhode Island that feel they feel so good about themselves that he was elected to Congress. You look at his post on X. Now, again, I don't know if it's him or a staff member, but it's under his name. He takes issue. He goes after President Trump and Elon Musk. And again, he makes a defense for this Mahmoud Kalali. And it's not the most aggressive defense, but it's a defense, a soft defense. And Justin, again, at no point does he even address, or this is the part, no one in our local media takes up on the fact that this is a sitting congressman running a defense for someone who is anti-Semitic, who is called for the genocide of Jews and supports Hamas.
Well, the first thing about it is you just don't know who to trust anymore. And these are the sorts of things that questions media would ask. Well, aren't you concerned that he voiced this kind of rhetoric? Isn't that of concern? If you were really prodding and trying to get the people of Rhode Island answers from their ostensible representative, that's the kind of thing you would do. But there's just no questions. I mean, I think I've read that this guy was no longer a student, had remained and was now active, just being an activist in the area. Who knows what other things he was involved with? He was a member, supporting Hamas, whatever else he might have been doing. There are no questions about it. It's just taken on as a given. In the media around here and among our congressmen, that he's just a victim of free speech crackdown by the tyrant Trump, and it's just another area where again they're just so disingenuous. Whether it's January 6th or filibusters even or anything like that, government shutdowns. So if it's in their favor, it's okay. If it's not, it's bad. It's just another area where they don't. Gabe Amo does not care about the First Amendment. I firmly believe he cares about his party, and this is one of his party's core movements, core constituencies, and so he's got to defend it. Assume that this guy is just this innocent who was caught up in something and ought to be protected. And it really does start to get tiresome to have to listen to this and not have, as you say, the news media question him and say, what about these comments? Do you want to disassociate yourself from this at least? Which is exactly what they would do if it were a corresponding issue on the right. They would press and press. How can you support this person? How can you support this person? Okay, can you at least disavow this part of it? That's what they would be doing constantly, but they're not, because they're just keeping up this palace-scarred face to support the ruling regime around here.
Now, and again, folks, our segment is Politics This Week. With us is Justin Katz, managing editor, anchorrising.com. Now let's talk about a story that the media does like. Channel 10, this was their lead story on Friday. Republican State Senator Elaine Morgan posted that apparently Thursday night she stopped by this village with the shelters, the pallets, on state land behind the Foxy Lady, and someone stopped her and wouldn't let her go in. And she said, and they said, I thought this was state property. Now, again, I'm not condoning. I don't know what happened. I don't understand going alone late at night. If she had maybe said, hey, I'm a state senator and I'd like to check it out, whatever. But anyhow, she posted that. That was the lead story on Channel 10 on Friday night. What are your thoughts on State Senator Elaine Morgan, Justin?
Well, there are a lot of question marks about it. Well, why would she go by herself? Did she identify herself? What was the nature of the
Yeah.
rejection? And her tweet was a little bit off color in some regards, but still, we get back to this two standards issue. And if it were in the opposite political direction, there would be questions. Well, did she have a point? She said she smelled cannabis. Was there any? There'd be some kind of supplement to the story, filling it out, making it seem not unreasonable. And this is why you can't really trust when the news media starts ramping this up, because who knows what the real story is? Because they will constantly try to paint Republicans as the bad guys. It's just the story that they feel is reality. And so she was there for, in their mind, unjustified reasons. And so she's the offensive one in the story. And we see it again and again and again. We never seem to get the story behind the story.
Now, also, Justin, you can tell stories that the media that they do like. And one is this story, and I don't know, we don't have all the details, but apparently this woman, she's a doctor. She's affiliated with Brown University. She went back to Lebanon to visit her family, and then she's been deported. There's a rally at the State House tonight, and they're all up in arms. Now, Kathy Gregg, who put out the story, she's the first one that I saw kind of trying to draw attention to it. She even put in the Providence Journal story that the advocates for this individual, this woman, that they admitted there was some kind of a wrinkle with her visa or her status or something like that. And now Brown is recommending to people that they should be cautious, some of their faculty or students traveling abroad. But to me, and I'm not going to get into a back and forth on X, plus it was on the weekend with a Kathy Gregg or someone, but within the Journal story, it says there was, quote, like, what does that mean? There was a wrinkle. And it sounds as though that could be the cause of why this person was then denied entry to the return to the United States. But it is a full court press of local media that this happened to this woman from Lebanon.
Right. I mean, what it really shows here to me is we just don't know whom to trust. It's very possible that this woman, just earlier today, the courts have insisted the government justify itself, and there was something in that story about pictures of her with Hezbollah officials. So you're talking about it's a legitimate political party in Lebanon, but it's also a terrorist and recognized terrorist group. So there's a lot of stuff in there. So there are a lot of possibilities, and I'm sure the advocates would look at that and say, well, the U.S. government's just lying about finding pictures or something like that. But it's just as likely she's part of some Hezbollah plot. Probably the truth is somewhere in between, where she's educated and probably relatively wealthy, and so she fraternizes with people who are relatively wealthy in Lebanon. That's probably the story. But you really can't tell, because we can't trust anybody in this, the activists, the journalists, to look into it. The story, as Kathy Gregg's tweets and even the headlines in the newspapers, they let you know right away. This woman is just a victim. There's no reason. There can't possibly be a reason. It was a little wrinkle. They could have waved her in, ironed the wrinkle, and everything would have been fine. That's the story. They let you know that right up front. But it's not true. And moreover, you get the same response no matter who the person is. We've got, as we were just talking about, the young man who's attacking Jews at Columbia. He's treated the same as this doctor. They're treated the same as a plane load of terrorists from Venezuela, whom a judge recently insisted that the Trump administration bring back to the United States. Apparently, there's no differentiation. So let's assume that this woman was caught up in maybe a dragnet that was a little too broad, and it caught her according to the rules. We're going to let anybody who associates with terrorist groups. Maybe that was the rule. There's nobody who's wise enough, apparently, in the Democrat Party or on the left, to say let's let the extreme ones go, and we'll focus on the ones who are really getting caught up in a dragnet, which this may be. But there's just nobody to trust in the story, and that's a big problem.
And Justin and folks, this is really important, because already, you can tell whether it's the Globe or the Journal. Prosecutors say deported Rhode Island doctor had photos of Hezbollah Iran leaders on her phone. So whether it's Kathy Gregg or the Providence Journal or the individuals that were looking to make a lot of noise about this. I'm also seeing right now in real time that ICE has said, and they're responding to this. So, and their response to me seems this is the doctor from Brown University, and as much as some of the locals, Trump is out of control, and Gabe Amo was one of the ones. This is out of control. This woman, yes, she was back in Lebanon attending the funeral of a leader of Hezbollah. And so let's see how that holds up. Last month, traveled to Beirut to attend the funeral of a brutal terrorist who led Hezbollah, responsible for killing hundreds of Americans over a 4-decade terror spree, openly admitted this to the officers, as well as her support. A visa is a privilege, not a right. So then you go to Gabe Amo, and I'm so glad that I'm seeing that Boston media is trying to get a hold of Rhode Island Congressman Gabe Amo. As he put out, we've been engaged. He's trying to help someone who's connected to terrorists. I'll just give you the final word on this, Justin. I knew right away when I saw that there was some kind of a wrinkle, and Kathy, Greg, and the rest, they had no interest in getting to the bottom of it. Now we find out, to me, that is a very good reason why this person was not being let back into the country.
Right. And it's a good reason. The journalists, professional journalists, and our supposed respectable representatives in Congress ought to know, to pause, to wait. There might be something more to the story. It's not true that Donald Trump is just recklessly locking people up for no reason. I mean, there was another one. It was a German guy who was apparently arrested for marijuana at some point. He tried to get back in the country and he was blocked. And here they are. This is outrageous. You don't know. We don't have any information yet. And that goes right out the window. And to me, it ties in with every other story that's been a big problem, like, say, COVID, the New York Times, we were fooled. Well, no, you wanted to be fooled at best, or you participated in the fooling. And this is the same exact dynamic where they don't really care what the details are. They're going to jump in on the side of their allies on the left. And we may not ever get the real story if they don't find a reason to give it to us.
Here's Channel 12. Rhode Island doctor deported despite having work visa. Doesn't even mention that the person went to the funeral of a known terrorist and admitted went to the funeral of a known terrorist. Professor from Brown deported to Lebanon without explanation. Channel 10. Despite U.S. visa. Brown University warns international students about travel ahead of spring break. Justin, again, they bury the lead that the reason they scooped her up is who she's affiliated with. So, all right, folks, it is time for politics this week, and it's Katz's Corner. And Justin, what do you have for us this week?
So one thing that tied to something you see around here locally a lot, Elon Musk posted a chart. As he's been really bringing attention to things that some of us have screamed about for years with just a chart on X. And it's kind of in some ways encouraging to see. But it showed in education, right now everybody knows the Department of Education's in the Trump administration's spotlight. And a lot of leftists and Democrats are jumping forward to say this will ruin education. But the chart Elon Musk showed how administration is shooting up and growing at a huge rate versus, say, teachers who are the number of teachers is barely rising in American education. And what I think a lot of it shows is the left is taking this, and they use, and I saw this in local commentary, there is real evidence that if kids are hungry, they don't learn. What the left does is they take that as an excuse to make schools another socialist feeding. We're going to feed all the children. Okay, well, kids who are sad. Okay, we'll have counselors in all the schools. And that's where all the money is going. I think it's important for us around here, especially where education is not doing well among our students, to realize schools should be for teaching. Let's address the other stuff, poverty and hunger, definitely. But that's not what schools are for. And I think it's something we need to concentrate on a bit here, because if you look at Democrats, 27% of the people of Democrats are fully supportive of the party these days. Well, we live among that 27%. And so we really need to learn these lessons about teaching our children.
Excellent point. And on top of that, Seth Magaziner, screaming out for the Department of Education. It's ridiculous that the Department of Education, Justin, basically is a front to funnel money to the teachers unions, and is very little learning. Folks, again, and Justin, how can people read more about anchorrising.com?
Well, just go to anchorrising.com. There are regular tweets up there. Well, not tweets, regular short commentary on the side and more in-depth stuff, as well as all of our segments are up there. So if anybody's fallen behind, that's all up there as well. And we're going to be ramping up a lot more in the later spring. And so I hope folks will start getting used to visiting anchorrising.com, and then they'll be there when everything really kicks in.
All right, folks. Justin Katz, anchorrising.com. Justin, excellent job, and we'll talk to you again.
Thank you, John. Talk to you soon.
All right, folks. There you have it. Justin Katz on this. Let me just do that. On this Monday. That is amazing about, and the local media, they don't even want to report this. She admitted nothing to do with politics, how Hezbollah photos led to Rhode Island doctors' controversial deportation. This to me is custom officials, immigration officials doing their job. That this individual traveled to Lebanon for the funeral of a known terrorist who has killed hundreds of Americans. But there's going to be a rally for this person at the Rhode Island State House tonight at 6:00. And let's see, right now, let's see if local media, if they start to change their headlines a little bit and reflect the story. As soon as I saw that, I knew that there was something unusual about it. And on top of that, what I found was, let me just see okay. So that is a standoff in Central Falls. So not exactly sure what happened with that. I think it's a situation. We're certainly not going out in the rain. Someone that was potentially going to do self-harm, but Central Falls officials have that area of Cowden Street. We had posted on that, blocked off. Now we know what's involved with that. But this is really important, folks, because there's something going on that you need to know, and I want to touch on this portion of our program. And it's brought to you by, don't forget, folks, Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call Corey today, 401-283-9815. They seal coat driveways and parking lots. They offer crack filling, pothole repair, line striping. They can make your pavement look like new, help keep your parking lot safe. They also do sports court resurfacing, pickleball, tennis, basketball. They epoxy garages and patios, decorative concrete flooring, Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Call them today, and I share their Facebook page, 401-283-9815, 401-283-9815, Quality Asphalt Seal Coating. Now also, folks, don't forget Propane Plus. Call Propane Plus today, 401-885-4209. In Massachusetts, 508-252-3359. Propane Plus for all your heating and cooling. Call Propane Plus today. Residential or commercial, it's Propane Plus. You can visit their website. It's propaneplus.com. You just type in your zip code. You can depend on Propane Plus. Call them today, 401-885-4209, or in Massachusetts, 508-252-3359 for Propane Plus. So isn't that, to me, a very interesting wrinkle that now we find out Hezbollah photos led to the deportation. Now, that was all missing from all the reports that initially were that they were putting out. And it's Trump's deportation orders are under scrutiny. How about the fact that a judge was trying to say, hey, she shouldn't have been deported? Shouldn't have been deported. Prosecutors say deported Rhode Island doctor had photos of Hezbollah Iran leaders on her phone. Is that someone we want? Let alone in our country. How about in Rhode Island? She arrived at Logan. Border Patrol found her true intentions of the United States could not be determined. Before being deported, late last week, Rhode Island doctor was questioned by U.S. Custom and Border Protection agents at Logan. Photos of her phone of Iran's supreme leader and a leader of the terrorist group Hezbollah. The doctor, a kidney transplant doctor, assistant professor at Brown Medicine. This is like something out of Homeland. At Rhode Island Hospital. Traveled to Lebanon to attend the funeral of a terrorist leader. Placed on a flight to Paris. She was questioned at the airport. Photos on her phone of Hassan Nasrallah, the late longtime leader of Hezbollah, the Lebanese militant group, Hezbollah fighters and martyrs. Stated that Nasrallah is the leader of Hezbollah and a Shia Muslim, highly regarded in the community. She follows him for his religious and spiritual teachings. Folks, do you understand what just happened here? Custom and Border Patrol stopped someone who was organizing a terror cell right here in Providence. Wow. She attended the death during a trip, waiting for a visa. He died on September 27th, airstrike by the Israeli Air Force at Hezbollah headquarters. Multiple photos on her phone of the supreme leader of Iran. This is who the locals are rallying behind, including Gabe Amo. Wow. And I believe it, a judge. Oh, no, you got to what do you mean let her in? Why do you have multiple photos of these Hezbollah fighters and martyrs on your phone? He's the leader of Hezbollah. How do you feel about him? Here's what she said. I think if you listen to one of his sermons, you know what I mean. He's a spiritual person. This individual is a known terrorist that was responsible for the deaths of hundreds of Americans and thousands of people. They asked her if you support Hezbollah. And what'd she say? I don't. Oh, I don't. But you have high regard for the leader. Yes. Do you know that they're a designated terrorist organization? Yes. They asked about the leader of Iran. Oh, he's a religious figure. The officer asked why she deleted photos from her phone 1 or 2 days before flying into Logan. Interesting. They told her, you're not coming back into the United States. Wow. Good thing. Folks, once again, wow. This story, I knew right away when I saw this story that there was something up about it. There was something odd about it. That they're not just deporting people. And you have Gabe Amo. We're going to work to get her back here. I see right now Boston media is trying to get in touch with Gabe Amo. Boston media, not local media. As far as West Warwick, I have a question into the West Warwick police. We'll see what information we have. As far as Central Falls, I believe that is a self-harm situation. A self-harm situation. So let me just... I also reached out to police in Central Falls. Ongoing standoff with an unknown subject. All right. I want to touch on what also is happening, folks. And it's not your imagination. People are speaking out. But this portion of our program is brought to you by Modern Mechanical. Now, remember, Modern Mechanical, residential, commercial, central air conditioning installation. They offer ductless air conditioning installation, ductless air conditioning repair and maintenance. Modern Mechanical. They can also do boiler repair and maintenance, furnace repair and maintenance, heater repair and maintenance. Modern Mechanical. Call them today, 401-441-5442. Call Richard and his crew at Modern Mechanical, 401-441-5442 for Modern Mechanical. This portion of our program, folks, Arch Builders, what a successful, incredible night they had Saturday night. I am just so impressed. I did stop down and I saw them. You can call Arch Design Builders today. Ed and Roxanne stepped forward to help those two twins that lost their parents, the Charahoe wrestlers. They raised close to $60,000 on Saturday night. Those kids are terrific. You can see the interviews I've done with them. They were amazing. But it says a lot. And I want you to listen right now at 146. Hear me out. With Arch Design Builders, when you're going to have someone that's going to work either in your home or business, you want to deal with individuals of integrity, quality, professionalism. That's Arch, A-R-C-H, Arch Design Builders. Call them today, 401-207-4124. Arch Design Builders. Maybe you need a new kitchen. Maybe you want to remodel your bathroom or basement, deck, or a special project. Arch Design Builders. The incredible husband and wife team of Ed and Roxanne. Hey, they raised close to $60,000 for those two wonderful, Evan and Aiden, the twins, lost both their parents. They are remarkable young men. But my point is, there's a common theme here. These are the type of people you want to do business with. Arch Design Builders. Call them, set up the free meeting, at least meet with them. See what they have in mind for the space. 401-218-9707, Arch Design Builders. I think what happened in Newport over the weekend, there was some good things that happened in Newport. There were some bad things that happened. What was good about what happened in Newport? This is the first time, and folks, people need to be more vocal. If you saw the videos, the Rhode Island delegation, Governor McKee, Sabina Matos, Congressman Gabe Amo, Senator Sheldon Whitehouse, they were all booed. They were booed at the St. Patrick's Day parade. I saw some people say, I think people should just turn their back on them. It's a parade. People are vocal. You can believe that. I like the people. People were chanting Trump. People were chanting Elon Musk. I thought it was, it's about time they start to deal in reality. And the more you lead about, right now, 50% of the country feel that the country's headed in the right direction. And that's up from 27%. It is about time our part of the country, the Northeast, Rhode Island and Massachusetts, and you're starting to see it, start to get with the rest of the country. The governing structures in our area, the system of government we have, Rhode Island and Massachusetts, is a failure. That's what it is. That's what McKee presides over. It is a failed system of just a lot of government jobs and high taxes and poor service. Hey, I come back to not one person has been fired by the Rhode Island Department of Transportation. How is that possible? It's unimaginable. Unimaginable. I can't believe this doctor, because the locals were going nuts about it. So the Boston media, they want to talk to Gabe Amo. Why don't the local media want to talk to him? He posted on social media that he's supporting this doctor who's a terrorist in Lebanon. Why aren't the rest? How come the local media isn't? Now, folks, as far as, listen, those individuals, those, I want to just see, since Friday, my office has been directly engaged in the violation of federal judge's order. Dr. Alawa, I'm committed to getting answers to her family colleagues. What a disgrace this guy is. Gabe Amo, we haven't had, other than Governor McKee and Sabina Matos, we haven't had anyone this embarrassing in a while. So Kimberly Bookman of Channel 7, Congressman, we're trying to reach you. How come the rest of the media? How come the rest of the media isn't trying to reach him? How come the local media is not trying to reach him? Why is that? Why are they giving him a pass? As far as the arrest that happened, if you're a parent and you're going to allow whoever these kids are, listen, children need to learn to behave. Children need to learn to show respect to law enforcement. I think what happened in Newport, you shouldn't have that number of DUI arrests and everything else that happened with it. I think it's embarrassing. It's disgraceful. But as long as the state is lax on DUI laws, which it is, and part of that is because of tourism. The Rhode Island leaders, Governor McKee, the leader, they are willing to sacrifice a certain number of lives to promote tourism. That's why they just don't do anything about our very weak DUI laws. But I want to come back to where the state is in the country. Now, what do I think? Do I think the country's headed in the right direction? 100%. Is the stock market a little bit in turmoil? Yes. But someone has to, the work being done by President Trump and Elon Musk. Folks, the days where you should feel either you have to whisper it or be quiet about it, of showing support for them, are over. The locals, it's so, let's just be honest. We have embarrassing people that represent us in government. There's nothing wrong with that. It didn't happen overnight. It's not going to be solved overnight. Governor McKee and Matos, they shouldn't be in office. They don't have a clue how to fix this. I don't know what the answer is, but I know the Democrat Party is in shambles right now. And these people worship at the altar of the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party, the most popular person in the Democrat Party right now is AOC, the big progressive, her and Bernie Sanders. That's the Democrat Party. They want to boot Chuck Schumer out. Governor McKee, Sheldon Whitehouse, they're all on board. They're all on board with it. So, yeah, it's a major problem, but it's an embarrassing problem is what it is that we have right now. As I have stated, why did Senate Minority Leader Jessica De La Cruz, why did she go against Mike Chippendale and the House Republicans? Why did she go and speak and be a little puppet for the Greater Providence Chamber of Commerce? She shouldn't have. I don't know Senate Minority Leader Jessica De La Cruz. I don't know her that well. In the past, I've invited her on the show. She won't. It's her choice, whatever. But as someone that has followed her, she does not have good political instincts. I know people like her. I know she's the Senate Minority Leader, but I just don't. Not everyone has it. I think she's just kind of tone deaf. And I don't know why they didn't go. I don't know why she just didn't go along with the House, who refused to go to that. But this is big that Gabe Amo, Rhode Island Congressman Gabe Amo, is supporting someone that's associated with terrorism. Folks, the reason that doctor, and don't be so naive. If you watch, programs like Homeland or study into that, they place people like that. Yeah, I get it. They want to run with the headline. She's a doctor at Rhode Island Hospital with an allegiance to terror organizations, with an allegiance to Iran. That would be a pretty good connect for students to put someone like that in this part of the country to operate a cell. And they picked up on it. There's something wrong with someone that says the leader of Hezbollah, a terrorist leader, well, I believe in his spiritual guidance. They encourage young people to strap on vests and detonate themselves. This is but what is so frightening, and you should not be lost on you, is the first instinct from our local media was to turn against the government and side with her without having any of the facts. And that Congressman Gabe Amo, listen, the guy is a disgrace. Look at his Twitter feed. First, he's defending a known terrorist from a known terrorist who's a leader of Hamas. Then he's defending someone that's associated with Hezbollah in Iran. Don't tell me those are coincidences. What I don't understand, the people in the 1st District, CD1, you should be outspoken. Gabe Amo, does he really represent your views? I think the guy's a danger, and he's a congressman. Folks, this portion of the program is brought to you by J. Perry Paving. The season is back. J. Perry Paving. They'll pave your driveway or parking lot. Call them today for a free estimate, 401-732-1730. Letter J, J. Perry Paving. Call them 401-732-1730 for J. Perry Paving. Well, folks, good afternoon. I also want to remind you, boy, it was windy the past couple of days. This time of year, people start to have some work done in your yard. Maybe you need some branches trimmed, or maybe you want to have a spring cleanup. JD Lawn Care and Tree Service. Call them today, 401-441-0154. JD Lawn Care and Tree Service. Call them today, JD Lawn Care and Tree Service, and get that handled. Now let's see. Alan needs a plumber. Alan asked me, who did I recommend who could do some plumbing? Alan, contact JMB Plumbing today. Call the Dream Team, as I call them, Jimmy and Tommy, 401-743-9153. JMB Plumbing. Plumbing repair and service. They repair clogged pipelines, water heaters, damaged water pipes. JMB Plumbing, 401-743-9153 for JMB Plumbing. Well, folks, good afternoon. Now, this story that the locals were pushing, there's going to be a protest later tonight at 6 o'clock. Yeah, that's right. Doctors take an oath. Do no harm. 100%. Oh, Brian Crandall. Oh, Channel 10's awake. It goes beyond having sympathetic photos to Hezbollah. Of course, the local media is so lazy. They questioned her about it. And they said, so you support them? Well, I just support their teaching. Wow. Hey, they keep in mind, folks, what do they try to do? They try to find certain places, certain strategic locations, terrorists now. So it sure sounds like our Customs and Immigration discovered that this teacher from Brown University, doctor from Brown University at Rhode Island Hospital went back there. Of course, the local media said, oh, she went to attend the funeral of a family member. Yeah, a terrorist who was killed in an airstrike. This is shameful. It is shameful how our local media immediately jumped to the defense of the terrorists. And I don't say that lightly, by the way. All right. If you're listening to the radio, happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. Listening to the radio, stay tuned. Coming up at 2 o'clock, you're going to hear the 2 o'clock news. With Road Patrol, we're going to monitor the weather. Very, very difficult with the rain, but we will have updates on DePetro.com. That is a huge story on that doctor. Happy St. Patrick's Day, one and all.